Every Monday, YouTube is like, how to not procrastinate. I'm like, I'm already doing it. Go away.
Way ahead of
Leave
you.
me alone to procrastinate in peace. There are some people that would buy anything that's kind of sort of Christian magical. Like if you tell them, just have this little bag of dirt from Arsenia Boca's grave and you will be lucky at your exams, they will buy it.
It's like in the Middle Ages, like there was a whole market for all sorts of splinters from Jesus's cross, the finger of I don't know which saint.
I see it as gym bro stuff. Like take this creatine and you will be just as big as Arnold. Like it's
You'll
all
be
the
bigger
same.
than Jesus.
Yeah, it's all the same. So it's the creatine for the Christians, for the Orthodox Christians. And you can pack that.
You dry scoop it.
Yeah. And sell that. Just pick something for me and I will deliver, I promise.
Okay, so one of the questions. How does your... I'm not trying to be anti-Semitic. How does your nose speak to the rest of your body?
I'm Jewish. And guys, she has the book with Hitler looking at me. And, so yeah.
It's a history book, how dare you? Would you like us to start off with a bit of #mom gossip?
Oh, we can't do without. I mean, it's a must.
This is the way we bonded for so long.
We still do.
So remember that actually before the pandemic, I used to go out with some friends and we'd play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And at one point, I was talking to my mom on the phone and I told her about this and she was like, oh, what is this? So of course I gave her a brief explanation about how board game sessions go and what we do and stuff like that. And she was like, oh, very interesting. And then a few months later, she came to visit and she was like, Vala, you told me about board games, so I bought you one. But this is like for smart people.
Oh, God. So what you did was fine for your stupidity, but let me level up. She was Beyonce.
Yes. And as listeners might remember, Elisa mentioning my mom, the cult leader.
I love her.
My mom is very much into like all the new agey religious stuff, like everything. She's into everything. And she bought me this board game. And it has like the whole shebang. It has like tokens and it has like this thing, which is like a twister thingy. And it tells you where to go on the board and everything. And then the cherry on the top is a set of cards with questions that are addressed to your emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical dimension.
We are living in the 5D now.
And I would like you to, do you want to pick a color? Or should I give you?
Just pick something for me and I will deliver, I promise.
Okay, so one of the questions for the physical dimension is, how does your... I'm not trying to be anti-Semitic. How does your nose speak to the rest of your body?
I'm Jewish. And guys, she has the book with Hitler looking at me. And, so yeah.
It's a history book, how dare you?
So yeah, my nose is fine, thank you very much. I've contoured it this morning to look smaller. So, how does my nose speak to me? Like, it doesn't, it's a nose.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, you're not in touch with all your dimensions.
I've just touched my nose, I'm fine.
Another good one on the cards is like, if you would be stirring with a ladle in the soup of your emotions, which ones would you pick out to eat?
It's a soup. It's already disgusting. I don't want to pick anything. I just want to throw it away. Oh my God.
Moms. So, pam, 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 pam. Today's topic is a very pleasant one.
Yeah. In the wake of Tate's news.
Yes. I don't know at what point this episode will air, but the news today is Mr. Andrew Tate, Top G, has been banned.
Hey!
And to celebrate this rare, wondrous occasion, we've decided to talk about the toxicity of hustle culture. And, hopefully we're going to bring something new to this conversation, although, everybody has covered it pretty much. But,
But have they read tarot for a drug dealer? No, they haven't.
Yes,
so
exactly. So what I'm bringing here is
the real deal.
The wonderful experience of Larisa, who she is storytime incarnate.
Yeah.
So if you don't live under a rock, you've probably noticed that on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, hustle culture is
back.
Yes,
it's back.
It's still a thing, and it's back, and it's full force.
And it's all the same if you look at it from this perspective, like hustle culture, how to get girls, how to make money, how to be extra super thin, slick, or whatever the trend is today. It's all the same. You have a cult leader, and then you have all the bullshit that follows the cult leader, and it always looks like a pyramid. And they're trying to show you how to make it in life while they themselves haven't. Because if you look at their businesses, their only business is screaming on the internet how to make it in life. Mm-hmm. So, okay, have you actually done what you're saying, or it's just I should do it? And it's a very long story. It has always been a thing. Like, poor people are poor because they don't work enough. Like, you need to work super hard and sacrifice a lot to actually make it. And yes, you have to work hard. I mean, nobody says you can sit on your couch and be rich. But then again, there are so many other things that you have to do. So we wanted to talk a bit about Tim Ferriss and Gary Vee, which are the opposites at the spectrum of work hard, get things done, and make money. Like Tim Ferriss comes with, you have to work 4 hours a week, kind of. He doesn't. And Gary comes like, I will record from my first burp in the morning to my last fart at night and post it. And for somebody with reasonable brain, they will look at it and say, okay, so what should I be doing? Like, I have a job. I might have a life that I don't want to drown my kids. Maybe I want them to see living and enjoying life. And it is a question of, did they actually do it? Do they actually have actionable advice? Or is it just story time on YouTube? I look at it as story time for men.
And also it's sort of LARPing, as the guy who made it from like rags to riches. Because, as you said, they're only famous and rich by playing being famous and rich.
But they were rich even before.
Yes,
because if you listen closely to their stories, they are not poor people. They have never been poor. We're not rich by any means. Mm-hmm. But then again, our families are well off. So we were successful even before being born.
Yeah,
that's the reality.
You win the lottery in many ways, even if you're not rich, just by having, a family that's nice, dysfunctional or very poor, or if you don't live in a country that's torn by war, for instance. Yeah.
So this is what we talked about. Like, they were already winners. Mm-hmm. So trying to show other people that, yes, you can do it, I'm fine with it, but I also think it's extremely stupid. Mm-hmm. Let's say you want to sell some dirt from Arsenius Boca's grave. I will not mention other details. And you just want to hustle and make some money. And you take some dirt, you have to outsource everything. This is what they tell you. You can't do it yourself. You have to outsource, and you have to...
You cannot touch the stuff
that
you're selling.
Because if you don't outsource, you cannot be on your grind. So how are you going to grind if you're actually working? Like, they don't match, I understand through grinding, like looking really deep into your laptop and not understanding what you're reading. This is how I understand grinding.
I mean, it's so weird because in a way, this is a bit like way back, like when you had a more divided social structure and you had like the old money, so to speak, and the new money. So the nobles would look down on the merchants because they were like, what, you work for your money? Like,
ew.
And then, the merchants would look down on, I don't know, the carpenter, like, you use your hands to do actual things.
But it's all the same. Like, the bros have to be on their grind. Nobody knows what that means, but they're on their grind. And they look down on people who have a job because you have a 9 to 5, like, ew. Then the 9 to 5ers look at somebody who works in a shop or delivers their food, like, ew, so it's all the same.
Yeah.
Redone. But as we were going the story, like, you have to outsource everything. You have to look at some scammy thing that you can sell. But the problem with scammy things that you can sell is that they are really easily copyable, let's say. And you've put it on the market, and in the next 15 minutes, some guy from China will sell 𝕄𝕦𝕤𝕚𝕚𝕚 dirt.
By the way, we keep making fun of the 5 listeners that are our friends listening to this podcast, but apparently
we have 6.
The analytics, yes, we have 6. We actually have people from Ashburn, Virginia, so the US, listening in. So hi. So for those who aren't from Romania, Arsenie Boca is, how should I define him?
A popular saint, but not actually being sanctified.
He was like a monk in the interwar periods, and I think
during communism.
And during communism,
yeah.
And I think one of the main reasons why he's popular, because he wasn't all that special in terms of whatever he was preaching or stuff. He basically has a picture that is very often used in anything that is supposed to market him, and he just looks like a lumberjack daddy.
Christian porn.
Yeah, basically. Basically. So that, I think that's the main contributor to his popularity with our moms.
The thing is, he was made popular because there was nothing to sell for the church in this area, and there were no popularizable saints, let's call them, because while he was living, he was looking nothing like that picture. Like, he came out of the communist prison with no teeth, so he wasn't looking like that. And he never said anything himself. All the books that you read are collections of meditations done by other people after he died. So it's not about him, it's about the idea of him being sold. But the church had nothing marketable for this area because they tried to have, let's say, a saint or something for each area.
All the good saintly stuff was usually in the East, in
Moldavia.
Yes.
So they had
they had a monopoly on saints, basically.
Yeah, and they had to come up with something.
Yeah, Transylvania being a more ethnically mixed area with people who were either Protestant or Roman Catholics or other denominations. Yes.
So it's the bros from the Orthodox Church making up Arsenie Boca, and he has the grave. The thing is that the communists buried him somewhere because they didn't want people to actually create this idea of a saint. So the grave it's not an actual grave of the person. So you can sell dirt from that grave. Basically, if I go in front of your block and pick some dirt, that's Arsenie Boca's dirt from his grave. There are some people that would buy anything that's kind of sort of Christian magical. Like, if you tell them, just have this little bag of dirt from Arsenie Boca's grave and you will be lucky at your exams, they will buy it.
It's like in the Middle Ages, like there was a whole market for all sorts of splinters from Jesus's cross, the finger of I don't know which saint.
I see it as gym bro stuff, like take this creatine and you will be just as big as Arnold. Like, it's
you'll
all
be
the same.
bigger than Jesus.
Yeah, it's all the same. So it's the creatine for the Christians, for the Orthodox Christians. And you can pack that.
You dry scoop it.
Yeah. And sell that. The idea came from the Jews that sell the soil from and oil and holy water. Everybody who comes from the Holy Land comes with those gifts for the relatives, and it has some dirt, some water, and some holy oil. Nobody knows what the fuck is in there, but that's the gift you receive. And I was like, if that sells that well, well, why shouldn't dirt from Arsenie Boca's grave sell that well? And it did. But the problem was that some guy with more sense of humor than me actually bought the brand of Arsenie Boca before the church ever had the idea to, and started to...
This is why copyright is cancer.
Yeah, and started to end all the church's hustles with Arsenie Boca. The hustle is still going, don't worry, because the church doesn't care, and they will not pay fines or anything else.
You're not going after the Romanian Orthodox Church unless you're...
you can, but the thing is they have so many other companies, and usually the business is done on the black market, let's call it. It's not, they don't pay taxes on the books they sell or on the candles or on anything else. So he couldn't actually enforce the brand, but I didn't want to get into a discussion with him. So I ended that, but it was a lot of fun while it lasted. The website also sold some really popular pictures with Jesus with the sheep, and the sheep had glitter. And it was wonderful. I saw one. My mother-in-law actually bought
Christine
one.
Kitsch.
Yeah. And we also had the ones with the lights in them. With
LED
the battery.
lights.
Yeah. And you can start the lights. And
Or the RBG Jesus.
Yeah. and the lights pulse, and it's fucking awesome.
The Jesus during a rave or something.
Well, people like that and buy that. So, yeah. It was a lot of fun while it lasted, but it had to end. So this is...
It went the way of the gigs.
Yeah, because this is what a gig is. A gig or a hustle will end in 6 months to a year. Mm-hmm. Because it's a product that's so easily replaceable. Mm-hmm. You are so easily replaceable on that market that it just cannot last. There's nothing original. It's just you selling bits and pieces from everybody else's life.
It's a bit like a bug in a system, in a software, right? You found like a glitch in the system and then you're exploiting it for a while.
Yeah, but the problem is that people tell you you will create a company or a legacy, and that's where you lose the money. Because if you're smart and you know, oh, this will last for 6 months, so I'll better pump this up. Mm-hmm. And you know that when the 6 months end, you should have no stock because it will not sell. Mm-hmm. And you should not pursue this any further. You will make money. But if you insist on it and keep the website for 10 years and try to rebrand and purchase new stuff, it will not last because people have the stupids who buy that stuff have already purchased your stuff. And now they are looking for the next gimmick. You know, for the next fidget spinner, for the next slime.
This is where the difference between the scam artist and the scammies comes into place, right? Because as you said, they sold their stock to everyone down the line, and then all the suckers are left holding the bag.
I also saw people that were at their, 6th or 7th gig like this that were insisting this is going to be the business. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's a hustle. So this is what people don't say and what Gary Vee doesn't say. The hustle has to end. It's just like theater. At one point, the curtains will close. Mm-hmm. And if you're still on stage screaming, there's nobody left. Everybody went home. So you're screaming at emptiness, you know?
Yeah.
And what's fun, I saw this in cybersecurity too. They tried to make it like, oh my God, there's not enough people working cybersecurity. You have to get into cybersecurity. USA wants more cyber specialists. Yeah, they want the ones with 10 plus years experience. They don't want you. Who just know how to spell cybersecurity, maybe. You know? The ones who are making the money from cybersecurity are the ones selling the courses. Mm-hmm. Again, hi!
Yeah.
Look how we're going back and
Sounds
chasing
familiar.
our tail. So, again, if you look at the courses and you look at the people who sell that and at the people who create the hunger for those courses, you will find out who the hustler is. And you have to know that it's going to take 6 months and it will all end. Because I saw people that were like,
yeah, but we can make a better cybersecurity course.
Everything that needs to be said has been said. You don't have to make a new course. And if you will make it, the 6 months will pass. And nobody will want to get into cybersecurity because it's difficult and you actually have to work for your money. And again, you're left with the hustle, you know? I think that what's being sold is the instant coffee of money. It's like 3 in 1. You have to work 3 jobs and make a living. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. If you want to make money, it's going to take a lot of time. Time will pass anyway, so don't worry about it. You don't have to work 3 jobs. You don't have to look at Gary Vee and his vein pulsing on his neck. you
just waiting for that stroke to happen.
Yeah, you don't have to see his stroke live. And if you want to look at somebody who talks about this and who really brings some perspective, it's Casey Neistat. He's on YouTube. He's friends with Gary Vee, actually. And he talked about his year when he posted every single day a video. He will tell you that his marriage almost fell apart during that year because he worked so much. He will tell you that he was extremely stressed. That, yeah, he made a lot of money, but in the end, he had to move back to Los Angeles because it wasn't worth it. Mm-hmm. He was trying so hard to also have friends, family, and a life while working that much to make the money. And in the end, it was not worth it. If you look at Soft White Underbelly, the other YouTube channel that presents the problems with the American system, and you look at the story of that photographer that takes the interviews. He was I can't remember his name, but he worked for Apple for a very long time. And that's what he said also, that he was making a lot of money, he was working really hard, but the lack of balance brought a divorce.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? Not really. So you have to put everything into perspective. You can make a lot of money. You can be extremely happy and have it all. But you don't have to make it instant. They try to sell you the story of instant. This is the hustle culture. This is the grab 45 girls in one night. But can you actually fuck 45 girls in one? I'm just asking the question.
No.
Like, you might only need one girl 2 times a month. Like, and that's all you need. And you will be happy and fine with it.
I think they're tapping into this very rich soil of all the anxieties and insecurities people have.
FOMO.
Yes. Because I remember, and this was a few years ago, I went through a phase where after finishing university, I felt very displaced. I mean, it was also on the tail end of the financial crisis, but it was also the impact of someone who was a good student, and I got appreciation in that environment, in the labor environment, especially in the context of the crisis. They were like, "Fuck you, we don't care about you," and I felt devalued. I felt like, what even is my worth? Yeah. So I then went into this cycle of perpetually feeling like I had to catch up to everyone else, to everything, I didn't even know what my endpoint was, what my priorities were, what I wanted from life. I just continuously felt like I need to chase something. And I realized that for someone who is in that position, and most of us are in at least at some point in our lives, this sort of hustle messaging is like...
it's crack.
It's
crack. It really is crack.
Yeah. And it obviously it just makes your anxiety worse, but it also gives you this feeling that, okay, now I'm in charge, I'm in control because I'm focused on doing something about how I'm feeling, but it actually does not help at all. It just feeds off, and they make money off of your fragility, so to speak.
But I think the best medicine, because we live in a world where everything is accessible, the best medicine would be looking at all the Kim Kardashian seasons. Because no.
How so?
I have a point. So you know what? You look at her now, and they try to make her seem like an instant success. Mm-hmm. And it's an instant success that is 20 years in the making.
Okay.
And if you look at the first episode and how awkward she was and how different she was never ugly. Let's say it as it is. She was never ugly, but she was not smart talking and smart dressed and secure in herself as she is now. And if you look at all the seasons in 1 week, you will feel better about yourself because you will have the perspective. I had a talk with my husband last night, and he was like, I remember how you were when you were 28. Mm-hmm. And I look at you now, and I have hope because now I am where you were back then. And I know that you can actually achieve your dreams. I haven't achieved my dreams, like it's nothing major, but I'm happier with my job. I'm happier with where I'm at. Mm-hmm. And it's really nice to see the perspective, the full rainbow, and not just, you see red and you're like, oh my God, I'm not red. Yeah, but to get to red, you might need to go through green, through green, through yellow, through wherever, So this is why I don't like this gig hustle culture. For example, Dave Ramsey, you have to pay your debts in 6 months or you will die. And I'm like, fuck off. It is a mortgage. It's supposed to take a bit longer. It is what it is. If it makes my family happy to purchase a book or for me to be home 2 extra hours, and I will pay that mortgage 1 year later.
Also, in the previous episode, we've just seen what paying your mortgage too soon does to a country.
So, yeah. And I was like, this is not okay to say that to people who are already, when you have problems, you're already a bit stressed. And these messages don't really touch a good side of you. Usually they touch the side that's deranged by something, like I will have a 6-pack abs. And
it's the equivalent of fat shamers going like, well, I'm actually doing you a good by, shaming you and making you whatever.
I'd rather not, because I'm not a beggar, so I didn't ask for you to do any good to me. So
thank you, but no thanks.
Keep the good to yourself, Like, I see this obsession. I have a wonderful boss, and she tried to lose weight so many times that she went to an operation to lose weight. And I was like, how much shaming this society puts on people who are amazing in everything. She is patient. She is a wonderful mother. She is a great wife. And she was a bit chubby. You have to push and pull at that little thing until the person unravels. Like, this is why I don't care for hustle culture. And I think Gary Vee and Tim Ferriss can go fuck themselves, because they have started and perpetuated this. And it's not a good example. I would like somebody to show me Kim Kardashian in the 20 years she took to be Kim Kardashian.
There's so much to this because, for instance, I remember how eye-opening it was for me when I got a look at things like work in progress or drafts or things like that of like writers, artists, and so on. And you see like the awkwardness, as you said, or the trial and errors, or the things that were like, oh, this is so cringe, but like you could see the seeds
where it's going.
Yes. And then you realize that being able to do what you like and then maybe down the line being appreciated by others as well for that thing is just, well, of course, people have different talents and different levels of talent. That's true, but it's mostly what we get to see and appreciate as the output of others is the fact that they had the courage and the confidence to be like, I will go through this awkwardness. I will go through all these steps and it will take time, but eventually there will be something. It's never and then one night the lightning just hit me and I was like, bang!
Instant success. Fuck off, you and your instant success.
And actually, even just doing the episodes for this podcast, it has been such a nice moment that I share with whoever is my guest, because most of the people, they have a certain level of anxiety because they're not in any way media trained or used to talking in front of a mic or anything else, especially when they're first time guests, but not just then. And everyone at the end is like, oh my God, was it good? Is it going to be shit? Oh my God, I was so nervous. I said something. Oh, can you cut out if I said something stupid? And by the end of it, when they listen, up until now, everyone was kind of happy with the final result. Because yes, I mean, you trim and you cut, you trim and you cut, and eventually you realize that, well, especially if you come back and you do it again and again, it gets incrementally better. You still have your like days when you're like, oh my God, this is such an unstructured mess and whatever, but like there is in the general picture you can see the progress, and actually that becomes the satisfaction rather than, and then they went viral and it was everyone was talking about them.
It's going to go viral. it has no chance but to go viral, but it takes time, and it's good because you don't want to go viral on your first episode when you're utter shit. It's not going to be a good look. Now that we talked about how to hustle, let's talk about the other Gary Vee thing, how to be productive, and how to not procrastinate, because that's another subject
that's a touchy subject.
Every Monday YouTube is like, how to not procrastinate. I'm like, I'm already doing it. Go away.
Way ahead of
Leave me alone to procrastinate in peace. The whole thing with productivity is that it relates to you and what is productive for your step in life. For a kid, playing is the most productive thing they can do. For a woman in her 20s, the most productive thing she can do is have her cup of coffee in the morning. And that's productivity at its finest. Because also this idea of productivity, like every minute of your day, you have to be doing something that brings value to others. My best ideas at work, at home. Come when I go and make myself a cup of coffee and look at how the birds are bickering with the cats in the front yard.
Yeah.
So that's what's productive for me. And if you were looking at to me from the outside, you'd be like, oh my fucking God, this lazy bitch. And it's just not that. So what even is productivity? You had something to say about it.
Oh, I mean, I always do. I read an interesting book actually a few months back, and I think the guy is called Gavin Mueller, and the book is called Breaking Things at Work. And it was mainly about automation, but the topic of productivity is also brought up, and efficiency as well. And what he argued was that this so-called increase in productivity often just means people doing sort of soul-draining, repetitive tasks, which in turn makes them easily replaceable and lowers their position in front of employers, and of course makes employers a lot of money. And that you cannot really expect anything positive as a worker, at least, from anyone selling you the idea of boosting your productivity if that productivity is only measured from the point of view of the employer or the person who is like already rich. As you said, you're like, who are you being productive for?
Yeah. The problem is that, for example, the company I work for only in Romania has 10,000 plus employees. You cannot let people be artisans because everybody will understand something else from the process. So you have to split things into small little tasks that can be trained and can be done repetitive at their best. But the thing with productivity is it kills your vibe.
Bitch, don't kill my vibe. Bitch, don't kill my vibe. Bitch, don't kill my vibe. Bitch, don't kill my vibe.
Whenever I am extremely productive, like I know I have a super big list that I have to do this week or else, it's going to be the week where I do everything acceptable, like B+, but nothing great.
Yeah.
Nothing amazing. And then I have a week where I do one or two things and I do them spectacularly. And that's what productivity is. It is a way to finish some tasks that have to be finished, but not necessarily at your best.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that that's what it is.
It's the broccoli of life. You have to have it, but
you will
like
fart.
it's not.
You will fart. It's going to be a farty night. It is what it is. And you can't sell the idea of productivity like you have to be productive
All the
day,
time.
all the time, all the days of the year. And the employer pays for you for 40 hours to be productive. You might be extremely productive.
But then you might end up like the main character in the movie The Shining, where, you know, he goes insane and he just keeps on typing, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, and then kills everyone. So
What happens is burnout. And I've seen that in my colleagues. We work by no means something that can be quote unquote productive. Like you cannot put this into a framework and repeat it, but it's extremely soul draining. And if you're just being productive and you have no other side projects or side quests that bring a sliver of happiness to your life, it's going to be horrible and you will burn out.
yeah.
So the whole thing, the whole shtick with productivity is also a scam, or I see it as a scam and as FOMO. Like, you want to be promoted. That's awesome. But it might not happen in that company because if they promote the hardest worker, they have seen what you do for that money you are already receiving. Why would they promote you? Because you are already working a lot, those repetitive tasks, and doing a very good job. So if you want to get ahead in life, you have to have a balance between being productive and being smart about it. Like, it might be productive for them, but it might not be for you. For you, it might be productive to just look at something else from your company that you can learn, or something that somebody you can talk to, or have a break with somebody that's maybe smarter or higher up than you. And that might be productive for you.
Also, I think it's a very important thing to highlight that productivity, although it's usually understood as you being able to make more money, this is not all that it can be. Like, you have to be really honest with yourself because every person is different and every person values and draws happiness from different things. So even you might find yourself in a position where, yes, you can get that job that is better paid, but that comes at the expense of time you can spend with friends, with family, or doing other hobbies. And then if you, at the end of the day, feel unfulfilled, are you really productive in the positive sense of the word?
And let's look at productivity. I mean, let's look at Africa and the women there who are extremely productive. Like, they carry that water like Superman. And what does that give them? Like, they can survive. And that's that.
What good does the productivity of the working poor pretty much everywhere in the world do for them? Because people who are poor generally work so much more, and the work they do is so draining and taxing, both mentally and physically, right? Because often it's also physical work, but it also entails them working in toxic environments, in, you know, socially toxic environments, and putting up with a lot of abuse. And so, yeah, productivity for whom?
So the idea of productivity is, how do you make productivity work for you? Because we also had this talk about how not checking every item on an infinite list and not being absolutely productive every second of your life might get you to a lower self-esteem that in turn destroys the bits of happiness that you still have and makes you even more unproductive in the eyes of others.
Yeah.
So is it really something helpful, or is it just another diet culture thing? You know, you have to have the 6-pack abs. You have to be productive. Why? I'm an accountant. I don't need a 6-pack abs to balance the checks. I can do it with a pot belly. Thank you very much. So you see, it's all a perspective of productive for who and productive for what. Like, okay, I'm going to be super productive this week and destroy my mental health. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? No.
Just to make mom happy.
Yeah, and we all have stories of the productivity. For example, going back to our wonderful mothers.
I love you, Mom.
Yeah, hey. So my mother was not really motherly. She never was, she never will be. She tried her best, God bless her heart. But she just wasn't. So what she did to escape us was to book every hour and every minute of our time. So me and my brother were always going to some sort of classes. We were going to school, then I was going to swimming lessons, then I had piano, then I had English, then I never had a free moment. And what that...
To just play around with a stick in the dirt.
Also, I'm a huge introvert. So one of my favorite pastimes is to sit with a book or to sit with a cup of coffee in silence. Nobody around. So, for me, it was horrible. It was horrible. And I never had time because I had to finish homeworks for school and for everything. To me, it was so draining that when I got to leave home, the first 4 years, I did nothing. And I flunked so bad in school. And I knew what's happening. It was like, oh my God, I'm failing in school. I know why I'm failing in school. I'm not doing my homework. Because I was so drained from all the stupid productivity, stupid tasks that I had to do my entire life until then. And I know what it does to you. It destroys your soul and it gives you a sort of PTSD. Like now, when I see somebody trying to jam my schedule, I just look at it and I sort of panic. Do I really want to do this? And this is why I don't have any friends. You're my only friend. I don't really have groups of friends or friends because I get so scared to be overbooked and overproductive in any area of my life that I block. And I say, okay, no, thank you. This is not for me. To me, it's so hard to maintain friendships or to maintain a relationship over the years because I feel like it's booked time for my schedule and I have to put something in there. So being productive, it will destroy you in ways that no psychiatrist can fix. So it's going to cost you so much money and happiness. These gurus are also extreme introverts. Like I look at Casey Neistat and at Gary Vee and at Tim Ferriss, and if you're an introvert and look at them closely, you can see the masquerade. Like they can only activate the masquerade when there are cameras. If you meet them in person, they will be in their corner, happily isolating themselves from all the bullshit. So yeah.
Wallflowers of the world, unite!
But is it a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing. My best ideas and my best self comes out when I'm not quote-unquote productive. So when my schedule is blocked, but I'm not doing anything, that's the best time to think.
Yeah.
And I come up with super good ideas that I share with my also unproductive friends. And then we end up with the wonderful...
I feel seen.
And then we end up with a project that's so awesome and new and makes us so happy. And we do that project in a burst. And then we crawl back into our layers of unproductivity, you know? So to me, this is fun. And when I had a boss who was trying to force us to open the cameras, I told her that the company doesn't pay me enough to show my face on camera every day. So go away. So yeah. Again, this thing with balance, it might be productive for you to, search for vouchers online. That might be a good use of your time. It might be a good use of your time to read because you expand your knowledge and you do all this wonderful stuff for your brain. But to a company, it might not be productive. For them, it might be productive that you get to log on your computer and do not log for 10 hours. Log off. You don't even go to pee. Like you are glued to your computer and you work. But that's not how life works.
Yeah.
I was looking at some guru from 10 years ago, Chalene Extreme. Now it's Chalene Johnson. She was from Beachbody. People who have tried to lose weight, I'm sure they know who I'm talking about. And she was also a productivity guru in her spare time because she had a lot.
Oh, God.
And she was like, I had to write this book. So the best productivity trick I have is to hire somebody to clean, cook for you, and also make all the shopping, like clothes. So she had 2 personal assistants already.
It's called a servant, honey.
and the advice she was giving to people who didn't even have time to go to the gym, they were buying a DVD to get fit. You have 0 time when you do that. Was to hire 3 people. Okay, Shalene. I love you, girl, but then again. So you have to be careful who you take advice from, because to you, the best exercise, fitness exercise and productivity tip would be to go shopping and look for, deals and go to secondhand stores and learn how to sew or do something like that. But for a company, the productive thing would be for you to work that Saturday.
At many points in time, for the companies, it's not even important that you do tasks that are in any way useful to them. It's just like
to be
you
glued to the
being
computer.
there. Yeah.
Because they consider control as productivity. And this is where your internal balance comes in. Like, do I want to be quote-unquote productive or I don't? 1, 2, 3. We sing!
So we know that making the right decisions during crucial points in our lives is important. But how do you recognize the moments when these decisions have to be made? Because often they're not signaled by like a big neon light.
Aren't they? Oh my
I don't
God.
know. Maybe I'm not looking for them.
I don't know what to say. I mean, we had to make some decisions that only rock stars do. So I'm really proud of us in that aspect. And guys, it implied our mothers. No, I'm joking. But then again, it's when you want to look at Gary Vee. That's usually the time. If your emotions are so high for something, that's usually the point where you have to make a decision that will make or break your career, your life, your wherever. But the good thing is you don't have to worry because you will have to do it again 6 months later. So yeah, just get used to it. We talked a lot about career in this podcast because this is what I do. I career.
What do you do? I career.
I career. So we talked about me changing a job after 3 weeks. And we talked about me leaving mid-interview some jobs. And we also talked about me saying yes to things and then not doing them, although that's not in my character. So I really had to fight with myself to do that. How do you recognize something? I know my emotions are super high. I tend to watch not Tim Ferriss, and not Gary Vee, the OG one, Tony Robbins.
Oh.
When I'm watching Tony Robbins, it's that decision. It's that decision. And I put Tony Robbins on and he's like, and you're going to be great. And I'm like, probably not, but I really need the hype. So how do you know?
How do I know?
Yeah.
I guess when I get those weird feelings, like I can physically feel what I'm sort of thinking. I don't know how to express that, but I think there were like moments a few years back when I would just get so jittery, or
It's the soup of the emotions.
yes, the soup of the emotions. Where I would, luckily, I had friends, good friends, that I could just call up and tell them, look, I'm feeling things. I cannot really express what and why and when it will go away. But I feel like I just want to ramble on. Can you listen to me? And they were like, yeah, sure, go on. I had this as well at some point when I was a student, and I had to make a decision about, what to do for the next couple of years. And I just felt like, look, I don't know how to express. And I think I'm quite good with words, generally speaking. But in those moments, I'm just totally unable to articulate what I'm feeling. But I'm feeling it very strongly. Like I said, I physically feel my feelings.
And how do you know you're making the right quote-unquote decision?
Oh, I don't. I just hope I'm doing it. I mean, when I was a kid and people would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I had like a different thing for like every month. Diana wanted to be something different. So it was never a thing that I knew, look, this is professional area
Whatever,
or anything
yeah.
that I am focused on and interested in particular. That came sort of later on, way later on. I've always been very curious about even things that I don't have a particular passion for. If people I encounter express their passion for something, I'm very drawn to that. So I didn't have that, but what I kind of knew from when I was a kid, I was like, I kind of want to be happy. So yeah, I wanted to be happy more than anything else, more than being famous, more than being rich, more than being, I don't know, a career woman, more than anything else. I wanted to be happy, and I kind of had a definition, an evolving
This
definition.
is what I wanted to ask, like, what does happy mean?
I had an evolving definition of what that happiness meant, because of course, when you're a kid, happiness means something else, and then as you grow, it also grows with you. So I always try to fit what I'm doing at a certain moment in my life to what my definition of happiness is at that point in time.
Well, to me, it always felt like I'm watching some Tony Robbins. So when I'm doing that and I'm fidgeting a lot, because I'm not a fidgeter. Like, I can stand still for hours. So when I surprise myself pacing and talking, I have...
Red flags, yeah. She's pacing.
Yeah, I have a golden pig. And when I talk to the pig, that's usually the point where I'm like, oh my God, something big is going to happen.
Tell me about this golden pig.
I'm obsessed with those piggy things.
Oh, the piggy banks?
Yeah, the piggy banks. And I have, I don't know, like 50-something piggy banks at my home.
Oh.
And I have one that I particularly love. And the Jewish part. The piggy banks.
I wanted to say you're living up to some stereotypes.
Yeah. 5 husbands later and 26 piggy banks.
And this is like the prize piglet of them all.
Yeah. And it's not only piggies. Like, I have doggies and all sorts of things. And they're all like piggy bank
Piggy
stuff.
banks.
And when I talk to that piggy bank, that particular one, and the thing is, I can't tell until I'm really deep into my mind, like I'm pacing while talking to my piggy. And
does it have a name?
No. And while Tony is blasting that the neighbors are like, what the fuck is happening into that bitch's home? Because Tony, he's like, yeah! And everybody's like, is she going to war somewhere? So Yeah, when that's happening, I usually surprise myself like 5 days deep into that state. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should, I don't know, take a bath or something and take a chill pill. So there are always signs to that moment where you have to break something. Because that's the thing. Things are kind of sort of rolling, not really. And, you need to break it and
Break the cycle.
Yeah, and to do something completely different. But you're so afraid to do it because things have quote unquote worked for some time now. And this is how it was with my job. This is how it was with my divorce. This is how it was with a lot of things. This is how it was with my relationship with my parents. I was in a point where whenever I changed my career or changed my job, my father was getting so anxious that he was calling me and telling me all the bad things about the next company I wanted to go to, or how I will not be able to face the challenges that I will have there.
The most supportive parents, Brian.
He was trying to be, in his eyes, he was trying to be supportive. I shit you not. And it got to a point, I'm human also. Spoiler. So, and it got to a point where my emotions were also high, and he was calling me 2 hours a day and telling me all that nasty stuff. And I had to have the talk. And I knew it will not go very well because my father is a very, macho man. And I knew he will not talk to me for the next 6 months. Like, I could call or text or whatever, and he will not answer. And I was pacing. Like, my father was talking. My phone was on mute. Like, he could not hear Anthony Robbins screaming and me talking to the pig while I was pacing through the house. So, yeah, this is why I said that you were like, there's no neon sign. If you look close enough, there's Anthony Robbins screaming at you from the closet. So there kind of is a neon sign. But then again, how do you know you make the right decision? You don't.
You don't. You
don't.
Just hope.
Yeah. If you're very attached to a path, you're going to fail. Because the path doesn't exist. You are making the path as you go along, and you don't even know where are you going exactly. But if you have a goal in mind, have you actually failed? You will get to that point and have it. But if you in your mind are forcing yourself, for example, I wear a 41 shoe. If I would be so unhappy about it and say, oh my God, I need to wear a 39 size shoe. How would that help? It doesn't. And I just have to find the things that fit me, you know? But the goal to look put together can be achieved with a 41 size shoe. It doesn't depend on the size you're at. So this is why I emphasize the goal thing and not necessarily the path. And this is also with, as we talked with productivity and with, hustle culture and everything. Yeah, you have to have goals, but being super attached to a path and being super attached to a way of being will make you super unhappy. Super unhappy. And for what? You will not achieve what you set out to do, because who could have told you that COVID is coming? Nobody. Who could have told you that a financial crisis in the way it did when we finished school was coming?
Yeah.
Okay, and how would you have prepared for it? You were 19 or 20.
Yeah.
So it's really stupid to think about things as I have to walk a certain path when the path doesn't even exist. And this is why I dislike them so much. They're liars. Liars and cheaters. Scammers. So, look at me becoming my mom. Live. So yeah, this is it. Now let's end this on a happy note. People are going with their planes vacationing. And
we had to stop several times because it was interfering with the recording.
Yeah, so we hate you and your vacation. This is our happy place. Okay, have a good one. Bye.
Share, like, and subscribe.
That keeps the internet alive.